Friendly IPO inbound.
I see a large IPO on the horizon. Market clearing order inbound.
Done.
5, 4, you guys are on.
Ready? You're watching TBPN! Today is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. We are live from the New York Stock Exchange, the
Fortress
East
of
Coast
Finance.
Fortress of Finance.
That's right.
And we have a special guest with us opening the show. Introduce yourself for the stream.
Hi,
How you
my
doing?
name's Peter Tuchman. I'm known as the Einstein of Wall Street.
Einstein of Wall Street. And
How do you
I'm
get
not
that?
that smart. I just look
Why
like
do you?
it.
Who was the first person? Did you give yourself that
Erin
nickname?
Burnett gave me that, and
There you go.
I've had a show on her show now
Yeah.
on CNN for the last 4 months, ever since the beginning of the sort of mini crash that was sort of self-induced by the new
Admin?
leader,
Yes.
the new leader,
yeah,
the new sheriff in town.
terrorist
But
tantrum.
correct, she called me in. So she used to work on the floor with CNBC.
Sure.
And she nicknamed it probably 20 years ago and called me Einstein, and that sort of picked up.
But your
Suck.
latest collaborator is not on TV, but on streaming, correct?
Correct. So I had the fortunality of actually meeting I Show Speed,
Oh, yes.
right? Young 20-year-old kid who I got invited. So there's a team that's doing his stream thing. There's
Yeah,
a young guy named Adam Faze.
We know Adam.
Oh,
he,
yeah.
came
You know-
to our, he came to our event. We were here about a month and a half ago. He came to a
Really?
party.
So Adam's something special.
Yeah.
He found me about 4 years ago and asked me if I would let him shoot me every day walking out of the stock exchange for 30 days and just do what I do.
Sure.
And we did this whole TikTok thing called Einstein Elementary, went viral,
Yep.
like me and like marching bands from Brooklyn and walking around with a 50-pound Hershey's Kiss and
Yeah.
doing all this crazy stuff. So he called me last week, asked if I could bring Speed to the floor, and it didn't seem appropriate at the time. And he said, well, how can I get you to meet him? And I said, come up with an idea, and he's an idea guy. So he called me on Thursday morning. He said,
give
we're
it up
going to
for
be at the
idea
Bowl.
guys.
Yeah.
What idea, guys?
He's going to be at the Bowl. Would you come and welcome him to Wall Street? I
Okay.
said, absolutely. So they gave me a police escort. I went down there and met this young guy and talked about some of the shtick I do,
Yeah.
you know, investing in stocks and not stuff, and about, you know, the fact that, you know, that everything that his life is based on is actually a publicly traded company.
Sure.
And that instead of, you know, buying the next iPhone, he could probably buy a couple of shares of Apple, and that
Good point.
maybe, you know, he could invest in his future besides the amazing future he's
How
got
did-
set
how
up.
did he
And
receive it?
He
Was he
received
going
it
along?
totally. He talked about it a couple days down the road, so I got the message across, and I've blown up. I've got
Yeah,
literally
give us the numbers.
200. So I came in at 260,000 followers on Thursday, and now I have 419 and counting. And I've got 40 million
Couple
views on some of my
messages.
posts,
Couple
7,000
messages.
DMs.
7,000 DMs.
Okay,
I
good
actually
luck
just did a
sorting through
video
those.
to answer that. Anyway.
What was the first stock you ever bought?
You know what? I did not ever buy a share of stock until recently. I went through most of my career because I'm a registered trader, broker on the floor.
Oh, sure.
And I'm not allowed to be in a stock for a customer and for myself in a 30-day period.
Yep.
And so I built a trading strategy 20 years ago, trading the S&P 500 based on information that I have as a broker on the floor. And I trade all 347 names in the S&P every day. So basically, I made a decision years ago, you know, and also money does a funny thing. If I'm in a stock for myself and I get an order for a customer, it's going to impact the way I trade. And
Totally.
I didn't want that to ever be the case. So I do well enough here as a commission broker that I said, you know what, I'll invest in my kids, I'll put them through college, and
There you go.
they both graduated without any debt, and that's where my
Amazing.
money
That's
went.
fantastic. What about some of the first stocks that you were brokering?
First stocks that I broker, so we're talking about IPOs, right? And
Yeah.
so, I probably have traded more IPOs than anybody on earth. I've been in the crowd on all of them. I mean, the first IPO I think I traded was LinkedIn, right? It was priced at 30, it opened at 60, ran up to 180 same day. And that was where I got the sense of how amazing the enthusiasm around an IPO, because it's based on confidence.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Nobody knows it. And so I've had so many fun experiences in IPOs. Jack Ma, Alibaba IPO, which was one of the biggest that we've ever had here.
Yeah.
He and I bonded. So the IPOs here take probably 4 or 5 hours. We just opened Klarna, right?
Yeah.
And the process behind that, which we do better than anyone in the world, is the price discovery process, that what goes on. It's kind of like building a building. The way you open a stock, the way we open a stock, takes time because it's a matter of the information going back and forth. It's a public offering. So the public has to understand what's going on. And so we go back and forth with our customer. It's kind of like if you put the bricks and the mortar in the right place, and the way a stock opens, if it's built correctly, is going to purport the way it trades forever.
Sure.
Now, it doesn't guarantee it's going up, but it will have structure and foundation. And, you go to NASDAQ, nothing against NASDAQ, but if you go to NASDAQ, it's fully electronic. So it opens when the buyers and sellers meet in an electronic marketplace. Here, it's different. So then you're going to see what you see in NASDAQ.
handmade.
It'll go up, it goes down. There are no guardrails, right?
Sure.
So here, things are a lot different. So Jack Ma and I spent 4 hours together in the IPO. He and I are very short, so we bonded on the fact that we were the shortest
on the
people
same
in the
level.
crowd. We were on the
level.
same level, not financially, because he became a very
Physically.
wealthy guy again on that day.
Someone on
And-
our team actually was here for
at
the
that
Alibaba
IPO?
as well.
Amazing time. And then we've had, the whole landscape has changed when WeWork completely blew up the whole IPO market. And that affected...
Yeah, tell us that story, because
Well-
I remember the S1 going out, but then did they get out? What happened?
Well, what ended up happening, look, as I said, it's built on confidence. And
Yeah.
when, everybody, there was huge money put into WeWork. He was lauded he came down to the floor many times. And it wasn't until the night before, everyone needs to know this, that on the end of the roadshow is when all the financials are given out
Yep.
to the public.
Yep.
And it turned out that it was all smoke and mirrors, and he had spent all the money on prostitutes and blow, and that the company had no basis behind it. And so it was aborted. The
Yep,
deal was
that's right.
aborted, and what that did was it changed, amazingly enough, that one stock could change the landscape of IPOs for years.
For years.
It literally,
So
everyone
when
said,
people say the IPO window's closed, that's what closed it.
that's what closed
And I
it. It
remember
was the
Jim
fact
Cramer
that we...
on Mad Money was saying, "We don't want this. We don't want this."
Exactly.
I remember that quote.
And so to think that something about what's going on, and we didn't know anything
Yep.
on literally until the night before, made such a huge impact on the market. It literally has taken a couple of years to grow out of that. Before that, we had some really wonderful, robust years. Remax and a bunch of stock. They would open the huge premiums. We were trading
Give
10
us a quick history
IPOs a
give
day.
us a quick history on Klarna, right? Because Klarna's tried to get out a couple times. They're
Okay,
finally
so I
out.
don't know the history
Yeah.
about Klarna. All I
Yeah.
know is that I watched how it opened here. So it
Yeah.
did take a little while. It did open at 52, I think,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? And so it's not traded. You know what? It's hard to know. So what's important about it is where the bids are, where the offers are, and how the foundation looks. So where the bodies are buried within a stock
Yeah.
when it opens, right? There was enough stock at 52 bid on balance, which is what it's called. So stocks pair off that are priced accordingly. So 4-point-something million shares open. That means that they were market orders. They had no limits to them, and they paired themselves off. It was a 52 bid for 300,000 on balance, meant that there was a stabilizing bid, whether it was by the Goldman Sachs, the company, or the banker, or not. But that's what made it open at 52.
Sure.
If there had been more to buy at the market, it would have opened higher, or more to sell, it would have opened lower. It opened at 52. It did trade up to 57.20 on a small bit. 70,000 shares traded up, and then it came in. It's trading at a couple dollars lower, which is reasonable. It does not have the power and the impact that Figma and Bullish did.
Is this
Figma and Bullish.
But all three of these are relatively, like, is there a specific strategy that these IPOs have had in terms of like pricing at what feels like very reasonable Like,
So you know what they're pricing it based on the reaction to what the investment community is
Supply and
willing to
demand.
give.
Yeah.
It is. So the other ones got priced at 30. There was an over demand at 30. They upped it to 32, 35. That's how it will go. So the last night when they go out to the roadshow to give out allocations, they will get a sense of where that valuation should be, and then that's where they will give it up. They left some talk on money on the table, as did those other IPOs. The other ones opened at 90 and went to 117. That was bullish, and Figma also traded at a huge premium. My gut is that the sectors that they were in, there's a lot of pressure on this sector right now, and so those sectors were more iCloud and AI based, right? And so I think that's why there was a little more pop to it.
Well, we know you have to get out of here. Thank you so much for stopping
I'm so
by the
glad.
show. We'd love to have you
Great to
back
meet you.
sometime.
Anytime, I'm always
We
available.
can talk for another 2
To the
hours.
moon, let's go.
So thank you
to
so
the moon.
much.
Love it.
Let's go.
Love it.
Anyway,
Amazing.
in other news, you wanted to talk about Oracle. Oracle has become the current thing, and give us the highlights. It was a miss on top line, miss on bottom line.
Double
but
earnings miss.
But a massive spike in the share price due to a large cloud backlog. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so take us through some of the posts. Give me some of the facts.
Just sort of joking around here, but this reminded me of a company that would like to get a bridge round done, and comes out and says, we missed our forecast. We missed, but like just look out here. Like look at these big numbers coming down the horizon. So they basically reported on their backlog for the next 5 years, which
we've been seeing from the other hyperscalers.
Yeah.
Remember when we went through Microsoft earnings, GCP earnings, we saw really strong backlogs there in the hundreds of billions of dollars that they can just chip away at for years.
Yeah.
Unclear exactly how binding those contracts are,
so,
but yes.
From the transcript, we expect Oracle Cloud Infrastructure revenue to grow 77% to $18 billion this fiscal year, then increase to 32, then 73, then 114, and then 144 billion over the subsequent 4 years.
Wow.
And they say most of the revenue in this 5-year forecast is already booked in our reported RPO.
Yep.
Anyways, the stock's obviously up tremendously. Larry Ellison is currently the richest man in the world.
Oh, he is. He beat Elon today because of the stock pop. Wow.
And Oracle had just been doing buybacks and buybacks and buybacks, and so Larry's ownership percentage has just gone up over time. He's definitely known to hold. But a lot of this,
King.
He's betting on himself. Absolutely wild. Overall, there's been some negativity in the timeline. People were bringing up that during the 90s .com era, there were a number of class action lawsuits against Oracle. Just due to the way in which they were reporting around reporting revenue effectively, like basically reporting like forecasted revenue.
This is so funny because didn't we all just go through this with CARR in the startup world, like contracted ARR?
Yeah.
Like 2 demo days ago, I think we were talking to Gary Tan about, hey.
No, it was last demo day.
Yeah, maybe last demo day. I think we talked to Gary Tan and we were like, hey, it feels like startups are getting a little loose with the ARR definitions. What should we do about that? And Gary said, look, we've given very clear advice to all the YC companies. If it's a contract and it's non-binding, make that clear. If it's a contract and it's binding, make that clear. If it's actually cash in the bank, make that clear. But don't just come with some crazy ARR number that isn't actually anything like what people expect.
Yeah.
And so it's funny that we went through this. We saw the kind of the correction to understanding metrics in the startup world, and now we're having a reconciliation.
Yeah, so there's somebody named Steve Burns said this morning, Oracle stock is up 36%, on pace for the best day since 1999. And then somebody here is posting a meme of a duck, the goose chasing, saying, what happened after 1999?
What happened after 1999?
And of course,
it is crazy to see a 30% move in a stock as big as Oracle. It's now over $1 trillion, correct?
Yeah, Zero Hedge was posting $1 trillion company trading like a penny stock. We do need to have the conversation of expanding the Mag 7, right? The
Broadcom,
the Elite 8,
Palantir,
or
I think we're going to 12.
We're going to 12,
maybe 50. Who knows? Fascinating.
Yeah. So anyways,
What else is
Marco Kolanovic was saying yesterday, Oracle was looking like a great short. Hopefully,
it didn't get blown out.
Hopefully, it didn't get blown out.
Are people throwing?
Yeah, I mean the
Intelligent
real
Investor in
thing
the
is
trash?
I mean the real thing is if you were, I mean brutal for anybody that was short Oracle going into earnings because. Yeah,
you were
to
right
miss.
on
You were
the
right
earnings
on,
call, but missed the overall narrative.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting was, Meta.
I mean, people are
Yeah.
the self-proclaimed smart money is like really pissed off about this because just come in, miss earnings, and then say, "Oh, don't worry about it. We have a $500 billion backlog," and that's like okay, it's a lot of billions, right? Where is that? Like, there's not that many. And, and it's from a very concentrated group of customers.
Yeah, there's only so many customers
even
that are growing,
so
and a lot
NVIDIA,
of them have dance partners.
Yeah, NVIDIA sells GPUs to
Yeah.
Oracle. Oracle builds a cloud and then is actually renting, and then is like providing that cloud, basically selling that cloud back to NVIDIA, who's also a buyer, right? So it's a little bit circular, but
yeah, I was thinking about that dinner that Mark Zuckerberg had with Donald Trump, where he sort of announced his own internal backlog of what was it, $600 billion. And so if you think about Meta is both the CapEx investor and the buyer of that capacity, they basically said that they have a backlog of $600 billion of CapEx.
So the
to
RPOs,
justify,
the list of RPOs, Amazon 195 billion, Microsoft 315 billion, Google at 106 billion, and Oracle at 455 billion.
Yeah.
A lot of revenue. Where is it going to come from? The real AI, the real like if you're incredibly AGI pilled, you're going to come at this and being like that's effectively spend that might have gone to labor, that's going to be like rerouted to basically inference.
Yep.
There's also a lot of robotics, obviously self-driving cars, things like that coming online.
Yep.
There's a lot of potential demand, and we are seeing exponential usage in tokens, but still, we're starting to get into.
I mean, work through those one at a time. It's like Amazon is probably going to be sending that to Anthropic, which Claude Code, the revenue numbers are insane. And Claude is growing very fast. And so you have a
Microsoft
situation,
at 315 billion, probably clippy.
I mean, but legitimately like upselling Copilot features into their existing enterprise customers. So it gets diffused over a really large revenue base over the next decade. And maybe there's, some sort of a hit while they roll out all that CapEx. But who's not on that RPO, I feel like is Meta, because they don't have this idea of building the AI resources they're going to resell, right? Whatever they're building, they're consuming internally. But you should think about it in the same logic, in the same way. They're also building servers.
Yeah.
The question is for Oracle, can you just underwrite that as OpenAI? Like, is OpenAI?
Yeah,
driving
and
that?
that's another reason for somebody to be a little bit wary of these projections, because it's assuming, OpenAI just came out and said, hey, we're going to burn an extra $80 billion.
Where's that burn going? Maybe to Oracle.
Maybe
to Oracle. Right?
Uncle Larry.
And so if you sum up all those losses and you look at them, does that match Oracle's projected growth?
Well, that would be less than 20% of what Oracle's projected backlog is.
Well, the backlog's over 5 years, and the and it was like 80 billion in 1 year was the loss.
Yeah.
So the total loss over the next 5 years for OpenAI might be similar.
But if this backlog is like really real and the demand is there, and it's going to pan out, it's going to be contingent on OpenAI continuing to just raise more and more and more capital. Right?
Yeah.
And other players
Haven't had trouble yet, so.
Yeah, greatest.
We'll continue. I do wonder if you should be looking at like there is a consumer app sized, there's $1 trillion consumer app sized hole in the data center CapEx world that will be filled by someone who's going to serve OpenAI.
Yeah.
And so you can think about Google's investing. Obviously, this is diffused across all the different businesses, but like Google's going to be supporting AI with their capex. Microsoft, obviously, the same thing. Amazon with Anthropic, but OpenAI needs to build out not just a cloud business, but also a. Let's bring him in. We have our second guest. We have the CEO of Klarna.
Here he
How
is.
are you doing? welcome to the show in person.
Big day.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
last time was so boring.
Yeah, it was late your time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But we appreciate you staying up, and we appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yeah, it's good
You
to see.
seem relaxed. Just a regular day. You were posting yesterday. If you should just
You're gonna be
document
vibe
it.
coding. I'm
Yeah,
glad
yeah.
you.
I mean, exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad you put down the vibe coding.
Yeah.
The cloud
I'm
code
still getting
instance.
stressed when it's not coding, and I know it's like sitting and waiting for my input.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I don't do too much waiting today.
Yeah.
What's the process been like? What time did you wake up? Take me through the day today.
I woke up at 6,
Okay.
which isn't that bad because I'm a little still jet lagged, so it's
Yeah.
fine. And then we went. Took a shower,
Nice.
get dressed.
Yeah.
Was like, should I wear this cap or another cap?
Okay.
It's a blockbuster IPO.
I
think
know.
It's a good
I
choice.
It's
know.
great.
Thank you for recognizing it.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Why are you wearing that cap?" I was like, "It's obvious." But anyways, no. And then we took a cab here and came in here, and then they were like, "Oh, hello," and then some breakfast, and you had to have some speech, and you had to say some nice words,
Yeah.
and
Had to ring the bell.
ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
But I'll tell you, actually, honestly, to me, the biggest thing today was Sir Michael Moritz, my chairman,
Yeah.
who's a legend.
Yeah.
Google and YouTube and everything that he's been doing. He has never been at an IPO of any of his companies.
What?
Ever.
What was he doing?
Ever. No, he just like,
He
he's like,
enjoys the
you know,
West Coast.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
more of a
West Coast guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So this was actually his first.
Wow.
His first. My
Okay.
second and his first.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was
Did he
like,
thank you for giving?
of course,
giving the
we
opportunity?
no,
Yeah.
but I was very, very happy that he did it because I
Yeah.
had to be a little bit persistent. Like,
Yeah.
please, Michael, join.
What's it like working with him on the board?
Fantastic. I mean,
How would you characterize him relative to other board members? What's his style?
what I tell you is, what's amazing about that man is that I say this a little bit laughingly, but I say, look, never into the details, always right. It's like most people have to really be
Fantastic.
into
Yeah,
all
vibes.
the details, to have to be
Sure,
right.
sure.
This guy's intuition and business acumen and just sharp, immediate understanding of anything you put in front of him. He is so brilliant. It is fantastic. Amazing.
Take me through him, you, the rest of the board, processing the last few years. What were the crucible moments, to put it in Sequoia's language?
Just a few.
Just a few.
It's been of a roller coaster.
So people will be familiar with what
Yeah.
you're referring to, but I imagine the roller coaster started on day one. It always does.
Yeah.
What was the first roller coaster moment?
There were tons, Like the funny thing is that obviously since we're a factoring company, meaning
Yeah.
that first time we were ever giving people credit, we were just like, let's wait and see if somebody actually pays.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
were sitting there. I remember first weeks like, wonder now they're supposed to pay. Hopefully some money comes in. Yeah, they're paying. It works.
Yeah.
So that was important. Then there was Christmas sales came, and we're just like, oh my God, we're supposed to pay out so much money.
And you need to pay for
little
that.
scary.
You need
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Cash, you have
Scary.
cash crunch.
Yeah, we have a crash
Almost.
crunch, and not almost.
Okay,
There was a
you
real
did.
crash crunch, and I remember sitting. This is 20 years ago, but I remember sitting there and was calling some of our employees and hey, I think something's wrong with the bank. So your salary may come a little bit late. May come a little bit late.
That's the bank's problem.
Yeah, it's a bank problem, So those were early crucible moments, but obviously since then we've had a good roller coaster, anyways.
Well, speaking of factoring, you have a partnership with Chipotle. We wanted to celebrate by getting you to sign a Chipotle burrito.
Well, we're
Would you
building
mind autographing
Yeah.
our Chipotle
Do you have
burrito?
the- here?
We have
I
a
love it.
Sharpie right
I
here.
love it.
We're building
Thank
the
you.
Museum of Business.
Exactly.
And then we're gonna.
that. Oh,
IPO
sorry, I
sign.
broke
It's
it a little
fine,
bit.
it's fine.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's
That's some
authentic.
character. Thank you.
Walk
us through the past few months.
No, it's been interesting. Actually, I must say, we obviously been planning that. So to be a little bit serious, the point was that me and Michael always felt that the Google IPO was the IPO. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Yep.
You have a globally successful company that's profitable,
Yep.
but at the same time, IPOs and has so many years of growth ahead of
Totally.
themselves, so much success and so forth. So we thought okay, that's the time you want to do it.
Yeah.
And for us, being from Europe, to be global, you have to be successful in the US. Otherwise, you're not global.
Yeah.
So, and then you have to be profitable in the US. And these things were achieved last year.
Yep.
When they were achieved, then we're okay, now we're starting to get ready, and we think we have decades of growth ahead of ourselves. And then it's more to the bankers and the timing and the market. And I was very fortunate that your beloved president.
Yes.
And a lot of things happened, which meant that I was on vacation with my kids in Easter, which
Sure.
wasn't really the plan back then,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that happened. My kids were very happy, and then the IPO happened now.
That's
Which is
great.
amazing.
So yeah, walk me through the long term. How does what does the company look like in a decade? I'm wondering how oligopolistic is this category? Is there plan to expand into a financial super app? Like what does the far future look like?
Sure.
Because that Google example, they've been building 2 decades in the public market.
Yep. No, I think that is. So it actually started 10 years ago when we pivoted. So we used to be a competitor of Stripe and Adyen, but we realized they were beating the shit out of us, to be honest. So we were like, let's not do that. But let's learn from that and realize like, what could we have done better? And then let's go for the consumer side instead. And in 2015, we sat down and we said, the future of financial services is going to be somewhere in the future, you're going to have like a digital financial assistant, wakes you up in the morning, say, hi, analyze your mortgage. I realized I could save you $20 on your mortgage. And the only thing you need to do is say yes, and I'll do all the paperwork for you. And so we're like, yeah, that sounds like that's what's going to happen eventually. So it's a bit like self-driving cars. I don't know when, but we know that it will happen. And then, suddenly I'm in San Francisco doing a Waymo, and I'm like, wow, it's actually happening, right?
Future's here.
So the same will happen here. When ChatGPT came along, we're like, okay, it's going to happen faster than we thought. But still, directionally, that's it. So you want to be a digital financial assistant, save people time, save people money, make sure that they are in control of their finances. And then the next question was, okay, if that seems likely, not unlikely, it seems very likely, that's going to be a very valuable position to be in. And it's going to be a big global company. But like, why Klarna? Why us? Why would we be the ones that accomplish this thing? And then we said, well, there are a few things. One, you have to be global. So we've achieved that, US, Canada, Europe, and so forth. That's critical. You have to be scale. 111 million users we're now. 111 million users. So yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's important. So those things are critical. And you have to find a way to kind of grow the brand. And thanks to our amazing, partners with Macy's and Sephora and Walmart and all, that's growing the network. And then the next thing is now to offer more financial services. So we launched a card here in the US.
Sure.
700,000 people sign up in 6 weeks.
Wow.
5 million people on the waiting list. So we feel like it's going. So that's kind of how we're going to grow into the full retail banking offer.
Sure.
And I think that's the future, to be that.
Yeah. Can you explain to me how some of those partners you mentioned, they might have their own credit card. It was always powered by Visa. What does the partnership look like with a large retailer over time? Do they have a white labeled product? Do they never do that? Do they try and roll their own and compete with you? That doesn't seem super smart. But
though, I mean, sometimes it happens that, some merchants have done that. Our experience from Europe is that over time, it's a little bit like, there will be co-branding stuff happening. Like our deal with Walmart is very much a co-branding deal. It's not that different than what Amex would do with your local airline. That's also a co-brand deal, right? It's just going to be Delta, but with Amex and stuff like that. And that's very similar to what Klarna does with some of the bigger brands. It's more of a co-brand. While more for the maybe more smaller merchants, just Klarna. But yeah, there's going to be some of that going.
That makes a lot of sense.
What's the number one thing that people misunderstand about the core buy now, pay later products?
I think the key thing is obviously, there was a lot of like burritos on installments and stuff like that going on, and we don't necessarily mind, but it is a misunderstanding. It's just because in Europe, Klarna is used for all categories. It's like your PayPal wallet. You use it for everything. And here in the US, we were so successful with buy now, pay later. So it's a little bit of like a blessing, but also a curse. So then I talked to like the head of payments at OpenAI, and I was like, you should do Klarna. And he's like, why? Buy now, pay later on subscriptions? Why? And I'm like, yeah, but we work with Disney Plus, we work with Spotify. We have tons of solutions for subscriptions, for virtual. It's just that people don't know it yet here in the US, and especially for like Uber and DoorDash. It's not that they want to put things on installments. What they want us to help them do is think about ways to aggregate payments, to drive down the payments cost. Payments cost is a huge issue when you have an average order value of $20, $30. Visa charges a fixed payment fee for every transaction. So they want to find ways to, that's why, somebody like Uber will always ask you, hey, upload $100. Why are they doing that? Because that lowers their payments cost, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we have helped them build products that help them try to do that. It's still very early, but like, there's just
but that's
so much
a source of the compounding advantage. Over time, you have more and more data on how to underwrite people, and then also more and more ACH integrations, more and more customers that can pay with lower rates.
And this came up with a lot of investors because the point was on the roadshow. Because I told them, look, we're coming from Europe, where payments is regulated. I'm competing with companies that has 20 bips for debit, 40 bips for credit. That's the fees that we're seeing. Here in the US, people are paying 200
300%,
for credit cards,
200%.
right? And 100 bips for debits, because even if it's officially regulated, all the banks have circumvented it. So to me, I'm coming from like low cost structure. We know how to run this at scale,
actually have an
very
edge,
very low
yeah.
money. Yeah, and we're coming into this rich market called the US, where like the margins are just gigantic.
Yeah. That's great. I want to hit the size gong. How much did you raise today? This is a fundraising event for you, right?
Yeah, not that big actually. We did only $200 million.
200 million. That's pretty
Primary.
big.
But the full round was like I think 1.6 or something billion. Yeah.
Wait, so what is the structure of that? That happened
No,
before?
because the company.
How do you think about that?
The company didn't need to raise much money.
Sure.
I mean, we're very efficient with our capital, and we've been close to profitability for a while.
Yep.
So this was more a secondary event.
Okay, sure.
But we wanted to make sure there's enough liquidity in the stock. So
Yep.
we were very happy. Some shareholders sold some pair of their stock, and that ended up, I think, in total there was like 1.6 billion or something like that.
Sure,
Sorry
sure,
if I'm saying the wrong numbers.
No. Yeah,
but it's around that number.
It's evolving.
But the primer itself was quite limited actually.
Yeah.
And I didn't sell a single stock.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Love to see
Amazing.
it.
Amazing.
Bet on yourself.
Yeah.
So what do you think you'll be investing in? Do you think there's going to be anything that might dip into, hey, we want to go harder, we're going to dip, we're going to start burning again, or we're just going to be investing more? Is there, because I imagine that there's a lot of opportunities saved with AI, but then there's
Yeah.
also you could throw some really diesel inference at things and
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
a
yeah.
reasoning model at every single transaction, and all of a sudden you're like, my cloud bill is really expensive.
Yeah. Well, the truth is, if you look at, I sometimes joke that at the end there was only going to be a bill from Amazon and one from Claude.
Sure.
That's the only thing. The whole company will be two bills.
And they might be the same company. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
No,
like
but
running on the same servers.
But I think, you looked at Oracle today, it was insane, right?
Yeah.
But I think that I think we maybe in the last 2 years slightly over-indexed on AI and efficiency. We were
Sure.
so like, oh wow, look, we can get rid of all the SaaS, we can get rid of Salesforce,
Yep.
get rid of
Yeah, I remember
Workday.
you built your own CX tool
Yep.
just directly with OpenAI, right?
Yep. So we've took out 1,200 SaaS software out of
Crazy.
it.
Pretty
But to be
crazy.
honest, like Salesforce, $2 million in license fees. It's nice, but on a P&L of $3 billion,
Yeah, it's not
like
Doesn't
moving the
make
needle
much of a
much,
dent.
right?
Yeah.
So it was much more about how do you consolidate all the data, how do you standardize it, so you don't
Yeah.
spread it out on all these systems, so you get this mess.
Yeah.
Because the less of a mess, the easier it is both for a human and for AI
Yeah.
to use it to something productive, right?
Yeah.
And so that's been kind of the key thing. But I would say we over-index slightly on productivity.
Sure.
Now we are indexing more on growth.
Yep.
And unfortunately for human labor, which I find unfortunate, is that like we don't feel we need more people.
Sure.
Like we are already gone from 7,400 to 3,000.
Yeah.
I think one of the most shocking things people saw, the investors were like, how come you're growing your revenue so much and your OPEX just coming down? It's like the opposite of what you're supposed to
Yeah.
be talking about. But in our case, we haven't laid off people. We have just relied on attrition. So 20% of the workforce leaves every year naturally because they go on for other adventures.
Yep.
And we just rely on that, and then we become fewer and fewer, and we get more and more done, which is
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah.
So the only thing we could ever consider where I would say it makes sense potentially to spend more money is marketing. But right now,
Sure.
we're very happy to do within the budgets we have.
Yeah, we talked to
That's
Alex.
he was saying the
said
exact same thing.
Very similar thing.
Yeah.
What about? I'm interested to hear. So I understand the over-indexing on productivity, then maybe pulling back, but it feels like 2 years ago every company was kind of seeing AI as a hammer, and when
Yeah.
all you got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so every single business process, every single
exactly.
thing is like, can we throw AI? Can we throw AI? And a lot of consultants made a lot of money selling slide decks doing that. I feel like we are now in the scalpel era, and there are incredible use cases for LLMs, maybe within software that you're already paying for and you're not even implementing it, maybe to glue two systems together. Are there any standout examples of like AI as a scalpel that you're seeing these days that you think like, yeah, it's a little bit narrower than just like do everything, but it's something that you're excited about the early glimpse of what's possible there?
I think more recently, I've gotten all the senior managers at Klarna to start using Cursor
Sure.
regularly,
Yeah.
and I still think that there's like, I am still unfortunately quite negative on SaaS, because the point is that all these tools, internal tools that were built, today we can go to Cursor and like write me stuff, fix me things,
stuff.
it's almost becoming your internal terminal for interacting with your data, for interacting with stuff like that. Especially since you're not putting it in production, you're not externalizing it.
Yep.
You don't need to be as nervous about the same aspects that you do when you put things in production. So I am as hyped as ever on AI from that perspective.
Well, and in your position of getting all the benefits of AI, but not having, not being threatened in the same way that other, you guys make software, but you're a payments company, right?
Yeah, I
financial
think that's
services,
partially
and so
true.
somebody can't go in a cursor and be like, build me Klarna, don't make mistakes, right? Like,
that's
or
probably
get a
true.
bunch of data on whether or not we should underwrite this person's risk profile.
How have
That's
you been
proprietary.
seeing? There's historically, anytime people are borrowing money, they get a bunch of loan documentation, and it ultimately is like a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. It's confusing. People that have more resources might go to a lawyer and say, "Can you help me understand this?" Now people can drop those into ChatGPT. That ends up being good for simple financial products like Klarna, where people can easily understand. I'm getting this product today, and then I'm going to pay it in these parts. Do you think that lending broadly is in for a reckoning as everyday consumers start to get access to, again, ChatGPT is not advertising itself as a legal tool, but you can get a lot of insight from loan documents.
It comes back to what I said about that vision we had 10 years ago about which we're still on. Exactly, which we're still on, which is this like digital financial system. So what I believe is that if you look at a lot of industries, they are making excess profits because of the switching costs.
Yeah.
So we customers are just not that keen of switching, especially when it comes to banking, but also electricity, carriers, all these things. They're not like, it's not like I really love my phone carrier that much.
Sure.
It's just that I don't bother to switch, right?
Yeah.
And that allows them to charge more, allows them to pay, to have lower quality services at higher cost.
Yeah.
So when you imagine a world where you have a digital financial system, it's like, let me do that for you. And you start trusting them. Like, let me go and fix your carrier bill. Let me go and fix your electricity. Let me renegotiate that thing for you. It must lead to a better functioning economy with less excess profits, especially in this. It doesn't matter for Prada, or sorry, I shouldn't say this is Prada. For whatever it might be.
A man of taste.
Yeah, thank you. For Prada, LVMH, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Irrelevant. For the brands, for Nike, irrelevant. For utilities. And so what is banking then? I would say it's a mix. It's a little bit of a mix. It has both some aspects of trust and customer preference and so forth, but there is also a utilistic aspect to it.
Totally.
So I believe that all of the excess profits we've seen in banking are going to come down. And I've been very clear with our investors that if you're investing in Klarna, you're investing in the fact that we will be one of the forces that drive that change, and hopefully, as a consequence of that, get a bigger piece of what will be a smaller pie.
Yeah.
What's next for you? Are you going to stay running the company for the foreseeable
I hope
future?
so. I hope so. I mean, I've only been doing this for 2 decades. Come on, guys. That's like
Just getting started.
I mean,
just
come
getting
on.
started.
At this point,
Are
yeah,
you?
like,
You
what
seem
else would it seem?
incredibly calm and.
It does feel like
and,
this is just another day for you.
It is
crazy.
partially another day for me, but I think
It's
that
a
like
special day.
Yeah, it's a
Congratulations.
special.
But also, it's good. It's good to be in that mode.
Look, as I said, like I tell you, emotionally, going to Bentonville, Arkansas,
Yeah.
standing at the grave of Sam Walton, and being at the cusp of working with what to me was like the company that I was most excited about when I was a kid. I was reading about it, like the entrepreneurial
the greatest
story.
retailers of all time.
It is fantastic. Like that to me was. I'm sorry. Like I love this, but emotionally,
special.
that was bringing
special.
tears.
That was very special. Just reading that air.
Yeah.
It's also very like Scandinavian type of culture in
interesting.
the Midwest. There's a lot of
Yeah.
similarities.
Cool.
So I think this is cool, but that was special.
Was there anyone 20 years ago that believed that you'd take it all the way here? Back at,
Apart from myself.
yeah. Apart
And
from
Mike
yourself.
Exactly. Apart from myself. Look, I get that question.
Because by the time Sequoia's investing, then
Right.
everyone's like, okay, they'll be at NYSE soon enough, right? It seems inevitable.
It's funny. I found this old email I wrote like 5-6 months into it, where I wrote to my co-founders, and the email goes something like, "I'm sitting here alone in the middle of the night, and I started thinking like, what if we would like expand this beyond Sweden into more markets and start going after the banks
Global.
and become global? And it's like, wouldn't that be awesome? Like it's kind of fun. And I found this by coincidence a few months ago when I was just going through some old stuff. And I was like, wow, it's kind of crazy. I'm
should
sitting there.
screenshot it and share it
Yeah,
today.
exactly. That
Should
like,
share
you
it
know,
today.
I actually predicted. But I think it's a little bit like, you know, if you ask a soccer player or a football player or something, like, do you want to play Champions League? Do you want to play the NFL? Do you want to play the finals? You know,
Yeah.
like, of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course, as a founder, I was dreaming of being here.
In the league.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Like, does that mean that I knew? No, of course I didn't know. But I hoped, and I knew I was going to do everything that I could, and, you know, all the energy and all the hours spent and all the sacrifices, right? So
Feels like the biggest misunderstanding of this company broadly is just like your intentionality around building this, right? Of like actually trying to build fair, transparent products that are going after those excess profits, like you described.
thank you. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
But I think actually we had one slide on the roadshow that shows a study from 2015 by McKinsey. Actually, I love McKinsey. Sometimes I hate McKinsey, but
Let's give it up for McKinsey.
yeah.
McKinsey here.
They don't get enough love.
And they did a study here in 15 where they basically, and they were trying to sell it to credit card companies. Said like, guys, there's an untapped market, and this is not people without money. They actually have quite good money, but these are people they called self-aware avoiders. They were people that saw their parents getting stuck in credit card debt 07. They tried a credit card themselves because they were supposed to get a good scoring. And then suddenly they find themselves with $4,000 worth of debt, paying 25% interest on it or whatever. And they're like, what is this? This is the product of the devil. Like, get me rid of this. Like, and they pay down the debt. And they're like, I don't want to use that. And that group, they don't want the airport launches. They don't want the loyalty points or the cashback. That's not them. Those are the prosperous and content, the Amex users, the Chess Sapphire card. That's a different group. This group wants fixed installments, 0% interest, budgeting tools, clarity, honesty, no overdraft fees, no negative surprises. Just give me like a robust, solid product that I can use for my purchases. Debit, and then occasionally when I need it, credit, but with zero fees, right? But it turned out in that study, 20% of the American population falls into that self-aware avoider group. 20% of the households. All the people creating credit card programs to sit here in Manhattan, they do program for themselves. They want the loyalty points. They want the cashback programs. They're doing them for themselves. You have to ask your customer, what does my customer want? And not everyone wants that, right? Like, and it's fine. The other people want it, and that's okay. But for this group, it's something different, right? And that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, last question. You're wearing the last Blockbuster hat. What's your favorite movie?
That's a good move. Like, I have to tell you, recently, my son, who loves Star Wars, said, you gotta watch Mandalorian. And I was like, okay, but how good can it be? It was awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
It was awesome. So, so that is probably. But this,
Did you bring the family today?
No, I did not. I have
It's
to
just
tell you,
this is just another business trip.
this was. I did a
I'm
road
gonna
trip.
I'm gonna go to Wall Street. I'll be back in a few
We
days.
did a road trip with the kids from Boise, Idaho, to San Francisco. We stopped in Bend, Oregon, to go and visit the last Blockbuster. I really recommend for everyone going.
So this is from the store, not from the movie.
This is from the store. This
Yeah.
is from the store. You should go there. 50% of their revenue is still DVD rentals.
Wow.
So, and it's fantastic
Oh,
experience.
here, we have a new hat for you.
I'm not going to have this one now, so that's good.
Yeah, we have to put it on. But
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Last question. Last question.
sorry, one
Last final question. Is your profile picture AI or is it real?
Oh, yeah. Are you that flexible?
you that-
Photoshop.
It's
Oh,
Photoshop.
or
Wow.
handmade.
It's Photoshop.
Handmade.
Sorry.
Handmade.
Sorry.
Well, your stock chart looks like that.
Yeah, your stock chart today looked like the leg.
So,
We loved it.
hey,
Anyway, thank you so much for
congratulations.
coming.
Thank you so much.
Monumental day.
Thank you,
Congrats
guys.
to the whole team.
Fantastic.
See you around.
You're the man.
We'll see you later. Have a good one.
What a legend. Just another day. Just another day.
Yeah, I just gotta go take my company
Well, it's a
public.
business trip.
It's a
I'll be right
fundraising
back.
deal. Yeah,
Just raising. I'm not even selling shares.
yeah. I'm not selling.
I
shares.
mean, yeah, I do think people have this massive Come on the show. Let's do it.
welcome. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Hi, I'm David. Nice to meet you.
Just
to meet
pretty
you.
good. It's
Just pretty
No,
good.
I'm good. I'm
Fantastic.
good. I'm
Should be fantastic.
I am
Let's
absolutely
get you
fantastic.
fired up. How you doing?
We got lots of sound effects here.
Introduce yourself for the stream.
I am David Sandstrom. I'm the CMO at Klarna.
How did you get introduced to Klarna? How did you meet Sebastian?
I used to run one of the biggest ad agencies in the Nordics in Europe, and we actually started to do the Klarna transformation from this blue, boring B2B company into this consumer franchise.
Yeah.
I started out agency side, and after a couple of months, Sebastian was like, "Why don't you do that here?"
What were you? What was your bread and butter when you were in the ad world prior to Klarna? Were you doing big brand marketing projects, or were you doing, because there's so many different niches. You could be video, you could be billboards, you could be, there's a whole bunch of different things you could do.
Now I did all of the above.
You did everything.
No,
Okay.
but the strategy is probably my thing.
Strategy,
I'm
okay.
super interested in consumer behavior.
Yep.
Like, why do people pick a Coke over a Pepsi? Why do
Yep.
people walk into a McDonald's versus a
Yep.
Burger King? Like
The science.
Yeah.
the science behind something that cannot be science, right?
Yeah.
The thing that really intrigues me, like
Yeah.
the psychology part of like the Labubu thing now,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
How do people fall in love with ugly plastic dolls and like go
We've been asking.
absolutely-
We were asking the same question on the show 2 weeks ago. We
and,
tried
and
to
that's
dig
the
into
thing,
it.
right? And
Yeah.
those things intrigue me, and I do think marketing done well and done correctly is in that,
Yep.
is in that vicinity of being,
Yeah.
Whose idea
psychology
was-
you make money from.
Whose idea was pink?
That was actually my idea.
I knew it. Well, the thing about the thing about ideas, guys, marketers, is like you can sometimes you just have a great idea and it's incredibly simple,
Yep.
and that one idea ends up paying just massive dividends, which I feel like Klarna is just consistently so recognizable and really owns the color.
Yep.
Owns
Yeah,
the
we
color.
do. But I think looking back at what we've done, everything, the strategy, everything has been fairly easy and simple, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing complex about it. Pink is just it's a result of us understanding that banks and the financial industry is one of the most distrusted and hated industries
Very
in the world.
blue.
Everyone is blue.
Everyone's blue.
Everyone is blue. Just
Yep.
put the logos up. Everyone is blue. Someone
Yep.
sprinkled some black on top, but
Yep.
everyone is blue. And we knew that only politicians and social media were more disliked than financial institutions. So it's at the absolute bottom of trust.
Yeah.
So I just said, like, what's not blue? Like,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
the
Of course,
opposite of blue?
Basically.
Very
And here
inverted.
we have it.
Yeah, fantastic. Where was the Klarna brand before you came in? Who was it catering to? What was the key oversight that it was
It was
more
just fully B2B.
fully B2B? Is that the narrative?
No,
or
it wasn't. But it wasn't a brand.
Okay.
It was a fantastic product.
Yep.
Guess the color.
blue.
Blue, of course. Blue logo.
Of course.
Very, as a lot of tech companies start out, very like square, very bro-ish,
Yep.
very male biased,
Sure.
fairly boring, bureaucratic, nothing you want to engage with,
Sure.
no emotional component to
Yep.
it, nothing, you transact, right?
Yeah.
It's a transaction. And that is what we tried to change, like in everything, and what we did with Snoop and Paris and A$AP Rocky, and
Yeah.
with Pink, and how we show up, and the
Talk about
partnerships.
the cultural differences between the European market and then coming to America, because
yeah.
I feel like they.
I mean, from my perspective and from the financial perspective, the big difference is that U.S. is a credit-heavy market. Everyone
we
understands.
love to spend money.
But
Yeah,
Americans
probably.
love their credit cards.
Love credit cards, but also understand credit.
Yes.
Like, if you ask a random European, like, what is APR? Like, nothing.
idea.
Nothing.
Really?
Interesting.
And Europe is a debit market, right? And understanding those dynamics, how that works, the power of credit cards in the US and the stronghold they have versus Europe, that is a debit market, different. What we see now also, the digitalization, like I haven't seen cash or a card, like a physical card in, I don't know, 5-10 years. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I always forget when coming to the US, my physical card. So I show up
No
at the
way.
hotel, and they're like, you need a card.
To put
I
on
have
file.
Apple
To put
Pay,
on
I have-
file. Yeah, you're like, what's
That's
going on
true,
here?
that's
yeah,
true.
so that's the biggest difference. But then, I mean, I love the U.S. I love the spirit in the U.S. I like the
The American
everything-
consumer is undefeated.
Everything is bigger. Nothing is impossible. Like there's just this. I think greatness to think that is the that's the soundtrack of the U.S. So,
It
so I
is, the
absolutely
eagle
love it.
screaming.
And also, like, one big difference
Yeah.
from my perspective is, in the U.S., people appreciate marketing and they appreciate people making money, right? So in Europe, when we do a partnership with a celebrity, they're like, "You're a sellout."
Really? I was about to ask.
The
You're
celebrity,
a sellout.
you-
Exactly.
So it
You're
hurts-
the
really hurts
celebrity.
their
Like
brand.
you're a sellout. Why
Interesting.
do you do this? You only want to make money.
Yeah.
You're not- in the US, when someone does something where they're like, you're the best,
Yeah.
make as much money as you can, this is
Yeah,
awesome. There's a huge difference in that as well.
Yeah, no, I feel like Shaquille O'Neal in particular has built a whole brand around like being just everywhere in every ad possible. And some of the folks that you've worked with have done the same thing. I've seen Snoop all over the place.
I love
And
that. It's like,
and
if you pay me,
becomes
I'm
them-
down.
Yeah, and it becomes like another piece of their content strategy almost. And you're like, oh, have you seen the latest, Paris Hilton promotion?
Yeah.
Because it's like part of her brand world.
Yeah, and
Fantastic.
you can't even guess the
What
next
about in
partnership.
terms of actual like the distribution of marketing materials? Is there any difference in America? There's this power law in TV advertising around the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There's obviously a ton of stuff going on social media, podcasts, live streams. We have a bunch of advertisers. Where's there a difference between where the actual ad impressions are coming from? Is there any difference, or is it pretty much the same?
I think the interesting thing with the US is that you still have these tentpole moments.
Yeah.
Like the Super Bowl, you have that
Shelling
thing,
points.
everyone gathers,
Yep.
and you have these
Yep.
like, not millions
Yeah.
of viewers, but tens and hundreds
Huge,
of millions
huge,
of
huge.
viewers. In Europe, everything is so distributed. Digital
Sure.
is very strong. So it's hard to build a brand
Yeah.
when you don't have these tentpole moments, because a brand is very much about like, you and I have seen the same thing.
Yep.
And we think it's cool.
Yep.
When every ad is personalized, I don't know. Like, have you seen the Klarna ad? I saw it, but
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
that was only on my TikTok algorithm.
It can
Instead,
almost be
like,
a bad
it
signal
was-
if everyone saw the same ad, because
Exactly.
you know why it's going viral.
That was
'cause
the
people
power
are-
of TV once upon a
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
You
yeah,
knew that
yeah.
everyone had seen that
Everyone
or
had seen
missed
that
it
specific
or
thing.
whatever it is. Kardashians, like I saw the last episode, like I'm in,
I'm part of the culture.
Exactly, part of the culture, and you don't have that in Europe.
Yep.
How involved did you get on the roadshow side? Klarna's is interesting, in an interesting place where the consumer brand, I feel like, is almost different than the brand within tech, for example, right?
Yeah.
Because like in our world, a lot of our audience are high earners, founders, investors, executives at technology companies. They maybe aren't using Klarna nearly as much as the average American, let's say. What's kind of like the disconnect between those
I mean,
kind of the two brands?
sometimes that's a difficult bridge to gap, right?
Totally.
A lot of our investors don't use the product on a daily basis,
Exactly.
right? If you look at a Spotify, for example, from Stockholm as well, like the investors might use that on a daily
Exactly,
basis and
totally,
understand it.
totally.
Or
I
even-
think that was a thing with Figma, right?
Yeah,
totally.
Figma, fantastic company.
100%, but
Investors
people
don't
were-
know how to design, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
haven't used that.
Yeah, but even different. The only thing different there is an investor knows that every one of their portfolio companies uses Figma every day, right?
Exactly.
So it's and that's
but that has been the story to tell, right? Because like Klarna does a lot of amazing things, but you could boil it down to it's just a better alternative to credit cards, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
everyone understands credit cards, how that works with
Yeah.
points, and that's the story to tell, right? And I usually talk about like I do think this is a seismic shift where we've gone from gold to cash, from cash to credit cards, and now from credit cards to the next generation of things, where Klarna is the lead. Some of our competitors as well, of course, but I do think that's the story to tell, right? And
Yeah.
we're seeing that shift amongst consumer as well. Like they're sick and tired of being screwed over by their credit card like companies, high fees, predatory APRs, all of that. So I think we're seeing that seismic shift, and that has been a very important piece for us to tell that story from a consumer perspective. Working a lot with testimonials, our own customers, but you're
Yeah.
completely right.
What about going more multi-product? You guys have ambitions. You have multiple products already. Sebastian was telling us about the card product and
Yeah.
the incredible wait list. But how are you thinking about going multi-product in the U.S. market specifically?
I mean, the strategy is basically growing with our consumer engagement, right? So we have 111 million consumers. I think we have north of 30 million consumer. Boom, north of 30.
No, I just
North of 30 million consumers
Yeah.
in the U.S.
Yeah.
They love Klarna.
Yeah.
So they keep telling us, hey, I use Klarna online all
Yep.
the time. Why can't I use Klarna in store?
Sure.
Okay, that's the idea of the credit card.
credit
like,
card, yeah.
hey, I love Klarna, but I want to pay, with debit from time to time. Well, okay, that's the start of the balance, and that is how we grow, right? I presume. I mean,
I want to buy a house,
Amazon,
but I want to make 30 years of monthly payments. I mean,
there you
let's,
go. I mean,
story
Amazon
is-
started out as a bookstore, and now it's the everything
not?
store.
Yeah,
And
why not?
we started out with payments, and now we're the everything company.
We're excited to keep following the journey. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on
you
this
so
journey.
much for having me.
Great to meet you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Really quickly,
Fantastic.
before our next guest, let's tell you about some of our sponsors. This stream, of course, is made possible by Ramp.com, Figma, which Jordy just mentioned, Vanta, Linear, and 8 Sleep. We will tell you more about our sponsors after our next guest. But we just wanted to shout out to some of them.
If you're just tuning in for the first time, I just wanted to share we have a
We have a
game-signed burrito by
Chipotle
Sebastian.
burrito. It's not just any burrito.
It's
from
a Chipotle burrito.
And Klarna does have a
And
partnership.
this
with
will be going in the Business Hall of Fame that we're putting together.
Let's bring in our next guest. Oh, it has been too
You're too long.
Great to see you.
Great to see you.
I'm bringing you some sweets.
I told-
No way.
I feel like when you came
There
on
we
the show,
go.
it was Monday. I told you don't be a
They
stranger.
own.
And then I don't hear from you for
Klarna
a
owns
day.
Pink.
And here you are.
Klarna owns Pink. No one.
Yeah,
no
well,
other
Excited
brands.
to be
It's
here
gotta
and see you guys again.
This
Yeah,
is nice too.
Thank you.
Yeah, pink.
We're
name tag,
taking
too.
the whole trading floor.
Yeah. How
with
did
him.
you become a board member? How did you meet Sebastian?
So I joined the board recently. I joined earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Klarna is investing heavily into AI and figuring out
Sure.
how to combine the best experience with a lot of the AI innovation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how Sebastian and I met. And now over a year back,
Yeah.
started speaking about AI, how we can innovate
Yeah.
to build the financial assistant of the future.
Was the actual intro through like Sequoia folks or something? Like
It was
an
initially we
event?
met on the event of Sequoia's event.
Sure.
Nice.
I was on one of the panels. Sebastian asked the question.
This is AI Ascent.
It was the Europe 100.
Oh, okay, previous.
Which is
Yeah.
another, of course, amazing thing
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
about kind of the connection where
Yeah.
Klarna is one of the few European companies that started in Europe and built a global brand that
Yeah.
everybody recognizes. Even today, earlier, walking through the trading floor, the best feeling was a lot of the people coming by. It's like, I'm a Klarna user.
Yeah.
It's like 110 million active customers, which is, of course, as another founder that started a company in Europe and is trying to build global business, Sebastian and I got along
a good
well
role model.
and started speaking
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, how did you explain your business to him at the time? Was it in the context of a partnership or just kind of life lessons learned and understanding of your understanding of AI could potentially get him up to speed on what was coming?
It's a good combination of both. I think there's one piece which, Sebastian is just such a trailblazer and quick to a lot of the adoption. He was one of the first to jump into the AI, start figuring out how
Yeah.
you can deploy agents in customer service.
Yeah.
A few hundred people work could be elevated through the AI work and eventually optimized on the bottom line as well. And we started speaking about a lot of other ideas of what could happen, what is
Yeah.
possible. Working in voice, of course, there's an interesting angle of how you can combine the part of voice experience across the customer service,
Yep.
where people can call in, whether it's a
Totally.
claim, whether it's to understand a little bit more.
Sure.
And that's where we.
What about on the B2B side? Klarna's unique because they have a brand with consumers, but then they also sell to customers or to enterprises and businesses. Have you thought or have you seen any glimmers of? We've heard some sort of. Maybe it's a little bit too early to have AI in charge of the outbound sales. They're not robots buying steak dinners for folks just yet. But there's a lot of companies where they need a phone number, where if somebody wants to get more information, they currently put in a form, and then maybe there's a phone line where some sales reps can pick up internal sales. But that could be AI in the mix, voice agents in the mix. Have you seen that in other companies? Are you optimistic about that?
I'm optimistic for like a scenario where you have, like Klarna, a lot of inbound, a lot of partners that want to work with you.
Yep.
Now, a lot of the requests, you need to figure out a smarter way to handle those requests.
Sure.
So instead of waiting for a longer time to speak with a human, could you validate the workflow with a voice agent and go through that quicker?
Yep.
We've actually seen and deployed that for ourselves where
Oh, sure.
if you want to accelerate the pipeline, you can speak with the voice agent and tell a little bit more about the use case.
Yeah.
And actually what happened is that a lot of people are more keen to tell you a lot more
Yeah.
than they would otherwise. But then there's so many other areas where that's relevant. A good example is training people internally.
Ure.
So whether you are on the talent team, and I think that's how a lot of people in Klarna are thinking about on the talent team, whether it's you're actually on the sales team, how can I get better?
Yep.
And then whether it's the agent on the tech side, whether it's voice agent, you can actually learn and do that better.
Yep.
And then there's of course the last angle, which is the easiest one, but only easy if everybody adopts it, is how you can use AI in their internal process,
Yep.
in internal tooling. We actually just spoke with one of the execs across the C-suite at Klarna, who is now deploying herself some of the AI tooling to improve the switch from to-do into the actual project management flow
Sure.
with the right metadata, with who is the specific tasks for. So it autofills a lot of the information that otherwise would be manual and take a long time. So
Yeah.
that's kind of those all three domains, whether it's
delivering better customer experience with AI, whether it's improving how you actually get customers through the flow and how you train the staff internally or optimize process internally, I think all are so relevant with that work.
Yeah, it feels like it's part of this like narrative that we're seeing where for a lot of companies, AI was just kind of like, okay, get a big deck from a consulting firm and it's going to do everything. It's going to replace everyone. But now we're in kind of more the AI as a scalpel era and plugging in of a frontier voice model into something that might be generated. I don't even know what technology was used to generate voices before transformer-based models, but it was rough, and you hear it all the time.
You were like a stitch up of effectively like
that's what it was,
phonemes
right?
to like make the voice work.
Yeah.
What I think is the other thing that is clearly seen across the companies is that the best mix is you have AI to automate the easier manual tasks, but then you supplement with the highest experts you can in the field, and that's what Klarna did, even outside of voice. As you think about text, just people that can handle the really tricky cases. Specialists are there. Klarna is actively hiring on that side. But then the easy 80% of the task, whether it's just getting information, getting more product delivery through that first steps in the flow are happening all with AI.
Is there some sort of parallel to draw between the fact that I feel like both Klarna and 11 Labs are not the like do everything all at once. It's like do one thing really, really well, grow, own that, and then maybe expand. Is that am I jumping to conclusions there? Does that feel like something that you and Sebastian can like kind of bond over?
And we spoke, of course, briefly about before the show as well, where I think it's very important to go deep and understand the customer, understand domain, and work backwards from there. I think Klarna did it incredibly well, being so early in the e-commerce, then digital payments, now with so many of the AI innovations.
Yeah.
And I think understanding the customer, working backwards, and then expanding is the right move. At 11 Labs, we are, of course, trying to do the same with going deep in media space now with a lot of the telco space, and then working on how you can build a platform out of that. So I think there is a parallel, and I think the kind of the common theme, like you need to really deliver the best experience for a specific segment.
Very cool.
What's coming down the pipeline in Europe? Are there exciting companies that I'm sure you guys, when a company starts showing promise, I'm sure you and Sebastian get hit up pretty quickly.
Check in with the
So what
mafia.
should we expect?
Yeah, no, there's two.
Yeah, the Godfathers.
You probably are seeing the Sweden is booming. Of course, Klarna now, Spotify in the past, so many other amazing companies with Lovable, Legora, and others. So there's definitely an ecosystem there. Sebastian has also a little bit of Polish roots as well, where I'm from. Poland is also very excited for Sebastian, for Klarna. So I think this is another ecosystem to watch out for and see how that stretches. And these are like two good hubs. Of course, London is also trying to get there. We've seen a little bit in France. So I think these four regions are really going to go for it. Lots more to do, I think, to bring it to the level to the US innovation, but the energy is there. Like that's very clear. The founders are realizing that
that's a real path.
Real path, and you should, even if you start from Europe, you can build a global company. And I think that realization wasn't there 5-10 years back.
Totally.
And now it's like you should start thinking about the global space from the start, and it's possible. Examples like Sebastian are great examples, being at it for 20 years and is just now kind of going once again as we think about reinventing Klarna for the next 20 years and expanding all of the work. So I think that's a good inspiration for all the founders there too.
Yeah, it is a different story. I mean, I feel like Nubank has not expanded into the US in any meaningful way, and they build a fantastic business, Sequoia company, obviously.
Fintechs are amazing in Europe. In Poland, it's
there's something special about you and Klarna, like starting not in America, but actually being able to get a strong foothold, where you haven't seen that from there's that Indian company Flipkart, and fantastically successful business, but not coming to the United States in a meaningful way.
100%. I think you need to, from the start, think globally, and I, especially now, like if you are starting a company.
I mean,
it's
tactically, advice for small founder with some product market fit in Europe. What does that look like? Would you recommend? Okay, San Francisco office at 50 employees or 200 employees
or 5
or quarterly trips, or make sure you have someone on your cap table in Sandhill. Like, how can you concretize? I mean, without making too many generalizations.
I think the first piece would be you, even without the physical presence, you should be reaching out to people writing the newsletters.
Sure.
A lot of the AI people that are active on social media. And you don't try to pitch them on the work. Show them the samples, show them the product, let them test it. If they like it, that's your cracked through
Just
the
be a
first.
live player in the community
Exactly.
online.
And you need to
And
you need to go direct. You need to show them the work.
Sure.
You don't want to go the fluff way of the promise of the future.
Sure.
So I think this is like the very concrete thing that worked really well for us, and I think for a lot of other companies we see currently.
Yeah.
And second, to your other point, you do want people on the ground in US sooner rather than later. The ecosystem is thriving there. You want at least few people that can be in Silicon Valley, or they can be in New York and spend time with other companies and make sure that they are building with that technology, or you understand their needs before
You
that work.
don't want your competitor going through YC demo day and signing up, half the batch before.
Exactly. You need to be with the YC companies before any other player.
Yeah.
100%.
What's the fundraising environment out like in Europe like?
I think you can get capital now. I think in Europe and US, if you are building for that scale, you can really do it. Their capital is plenty. It's more about the usual: get the smart capital, get the smart investors that will help you scale to US, that will help you get the talent, that are in there with you for the highs, but are also there when you are low. That would be like on the practical side one of the key things to check across any of the investors. But I think 100%. There is a lot of capital, a lot of money that everybody can get, and I think surely you're seeing a lot of European companies are going with pretty great funding rounds as well, especially in the recent months.
I mean, we had Deli and Aspiro from Founders Fund on the show, and he invested in, was it Indurosat, the satellite bus company,
Helsing,
and he's just like a crazy company out in Eastern Europe that's just built like a phenomenal business in hard tech, which like total narrative violation, and there's definitely stuff all over the place.
Exactly, and then you might have seen N8N, which is another of the agentic workflow builders, which everybody uses across the engineers to go-to-market teams. Which is another great example, and of course Lovable we spoke about.
So we have to ask. You came on the show on Monday. You announced some fundraising. It sounded like you weren't in a position where you needed a ton of primary capital. Are we going to see you out here soon?
That's the hope. We are building to create a generational company. That tender offer is exactly for that, to get people liquidity so they can focus on that long term. So that's the hope. Would love to, of course, be here and follow Klarna's path one day.
Well, hopefully we'll be there.
And thank you.
We love to ask that so we can get a sheepish denial and then play the clip when it happens in a couple of years.
Yeah, year or two from now.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming.
Thank
on
you
the
so much.
show.
Great to see you guys again.
Yeah, we'll see you after the show. Cheers.
Legend.
Legend.
Next guest coming in the studio. Let
Who
me
we
tell
got?
you about some more advertisements.
Careful with that burrito. That is a piece of business history.
TBPN
boy.
is made possible by Wander. Find your happy place. Also, AdQuick. We mentioned billboards earlier. I didn't get an AdQuick ad read in, but there's a lot of billboards over here. Billboards all over New York
That's
City.
right.
Go to adquick.com. Also, Bezel. You'll notice a lot of people show up to the New York Stock Exchange wearing a fantastic luxury watch. You can shop over 25,000 luxury watches at getbezel.com. Also, numeralhq.com, sales tax on autopilot. Polymarket.com. If you want to track what's happening in tech, you can see it at the bottom of our ticker. You need to go to polymarket.com. Also, Addio. Addio.com. You can go to addio.com/TBPN. Customer Relationship Magic. Addio is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. And lastly, before we bring in our next guest, we have Fin.ai, the #1 AI agent for customer service, #1 in performance benchmarks, #1 in competitive bake-offs, #1 ranking on G2. We heard Matti talking about how Klarna has been using AI in their customer service organization. If you want to bring AI to bear in your customer service organization, go to Fin.ai. And we will bring in our next
Who
guest.
we got?
I believe we have the next person. We have 2 minutes. Fantastic.
2 minutes. We get to hang out.
We get to hang out. Let's play some soundboard.
Let's amp it up. Easy, John. Easy. First time on the soundboard ever.
Yeah, if you put this thing within striking distance with me, I'm gonna have some fun. Anyway.
It is one of the most beautiful views in the world. I
It
will
really
say.
is the Fortress of Finance, the East Coast edition. Also,
They out-truss us, too. We got a big
Oh,
truss
yeah, the
back in
truss
the
is
studio,
really, really
but this
good.
thing is just a real monument.
it's fantastic. And
I see Andrew Reed down there.
incredibly
Hey,
active.
Look, there he is. There he is.
Hey, there he is. Come on up. Come on up.
He's working on it. He's working on
You're
it.
good.
He's on the schedule. Andrew Reed
Yeah,
will
we'll
be,
bring him
will
in
be
at some
joining
point.
us.
I think we have him on at 3.
But yeah, it's great. Can we see Kramer? Is Kramer around?
I don't know. I do believe we're going to
I
be
do
able to take
see.
some
I do
photos.
see CNBC
Yeah,
over there.
but yeah, what I was, I mean, the whole floor is buzzing, and obviously Klarna IPO is a big deal, but just seeing all the different pods, everything is really cooking today. The IPO market's fully
There's
back
something
in
like
swing,
7
and I think
IPOs
summer's
this week.
over. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about like there were other companies that were like, is that going to go out the same day? And like, should we try and have that CEO on? There is a lot going on.
Yeah, there's
in the
Figure
markets.
in the works. StubHub
Yes,
is in the
and
works.
it's not Figure the robotics company. It's Figure the blockchain company. Is that correct?
Blockchain lending.
Yes,
company.
blockchain lending. Okay, we will have to get sharp on Figure at some point.
Yep, we're
Anyway,
working on
what else
getting
is
the
going
founder on.
in the timeline.
I don't have Wi-Fi, so I am guessing, but you can pull up the timeline.
Pull up the timeline.
Daniel Pronk says skepticism is gone from the market. Oracle is saying it will basically build. Listen to this. Oracle is saying it will basically build AWS in 5 years, and no one seems to be stopping to ask how. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta are all struggling to build enough infrastructure. How does Oracle plan to do so? So he is a little skeptical of Larry.
Yeah, it's a big backlog. It's a big backlog. It better be heavy OpenAI if it's going to be.
Well, this question is just asking how do you plan to physically build? Like, assume the demand is there.
Yeah.
How are you physically going to
You're
build?
going to need a bigger tent. It's going to be a lot of
bigger
tents.
tent. Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of tents. I mean, how much are they spending on? Stargate, $500 billion supposedly, and like Zuck is penciling out $10 billion clusters, the $1 trillion cluster. I mean, if you talk to the folks at Situational Awareness, Anthropic, like these numbers line up with straight lines on log graphs.
Yeah.
So that it is sort of like somewhat unexpected from Oracle specifically.
Here he is.
How you doing?
The man
Welcome
of the
to
hour.
stream.
Boom, throwing on the hat.
Fourth
Here
or
we
fifth
go.
time, second IPO. Great to see you. How you doing? How you feeling?
Thank you.
They really treat you like the mayor around here.
Sorry for being late. I was picking up
Popular,
some
yeah.
market color
Okay, what's that?
from the
Just how
floor
people are
traders.
feeling?
I feel like I
Okay.
needed to
Sentiment.
accumulate a little bit more.
Okay.
I need to know where rates are headed.
Okay, yeah.
I need to know
Nice.
where interest
What'd
rate
you get
spreads are
for
going.
us? What'd you get for us? What's the market color? What are people saying?
Everyone's talking about Klarna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's very excited.
Yeah.
What about interest rates? Anyone?
No, it's proprietary.
Proprietary. Okay.
Proprietary alpha.
Yeah.
It really is. It's great seeing you back here. I love hanging out in the stock exchange.
That's fantastic.
I also love hanging out in the stock exchange.
Tell us the initial story. How did you initially wind up investing in Klarna?
Well,
it
when
was-
Sequoia
it was-
first invested in
you
Klarna,
were-
I
you were
was a
just a boy.
sophomore at
Yeah,
Amherst
right?
College. I think I probably could have pointed roughly where Sweden was on a map, but I'd certainly never been there.
Yeah.
And Mike Moritz, who had famously invested in PayPal and Google and a bunch of other great companies, and a guy named Chris Olson, who's now at a firm called Drive Capital, worked together. And Pat Grady, by the way, also did some of the initial financial modeling when he was a
Legend.
green
Associate.
associate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we invested in
2010, right?
in 2010 in a company that was a Swedish alternative.
Jump scare.
Whoa. It was Swedish / maybe pan-Nordic
Yeah.
alternative payment company for e-commerce where you wouldn't pay until the thing arrived,
Yep.
so you knew you're going to get what you were getting.
I mean, a lot of Europe at that
But
point
you
was
knew-
e-commerce, and the internet was there, but they didn't have the payment rails, so it was like you pay cash to the
Yeah,
delivery
exactly,
driver.
exactly.
And Klarna was like it was like part powering that
Yeah.
and building on top of those rails.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know if you can call them rails. Hands.
And you go into the memos from back in the day, and
Yeah.
it was, how might Klarna find success in making its next hop. You know, so it was Germany and the Netherlands, and we had this incredible detail on like might they succeed in Germany and demographics in Germany and competitive landscape, and the Netherlands seemed like if they do that, we're money good.
Yeah.
You know? and one thing sort of led to another, and Sebastian just put his head down, and 15 years later, with all of the ups and downs and twists and turns, has founder mode. Yeah, Sebastian, he has that dog in him.
He does.
Truly,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
I can see that. I mean, he comes through incredibly relaxed, but it says a lot. It says a lot that he's here. He's like he said today he didn't sell a single share.
No,
like he's all in.
He is all in. Yeah. No, he's and he.
And the other thing that stood out to me, I just thought this was hilarious. He said he didn't bring his family here. It's just like a work trip. He just came to Wall Street to IPO. It's just another week.
Yeah, he is very eager. He's very eager to get back to work. Yeah, he's. But Nicholas, the CFO, I don't know. Has anyone shout out Nicholas?
No.
Legend, Nicholas Negleen, Klarna CFO.
Probably incredibly important for this business.
He has been, for all the reasons you might imagine.
Because it's not just fundraise and pay some salaries.
Exactly.
There's a whole, you can get into cash crunch.
And
he was describing that in the early days. Christmas came, and they had a ton of cash that needed to go out the door.
Yeah. Nicholas is, I'm pretty sure, taking a nap right now. Yeah. I think he is. In fact, I can guarantee that he's taking a nap right now before dinner.
Power nap on the trading floor.
I'm going to take his hat off. It's a little too tight.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'll put it back on when I leave. Yeah.
Where I guess walk through, by the time they were going to enter the U.S. market, you were on Team Sequoia, right? Where
yes.
You were able to witness that. And
yeah.
I guess give us a backstory there, because I think that the level of traction they have in the U.S. market was, I don't even know if you could have underwrote that as they were starting.
Yeah, in fact, when I joined Sequoia in 2014, Klarna was still blue Klarna. They had not yet made the transition to the pink Klarna. And the logo did feel a lot like PayPal or Affirm or JP Morgan Chase, sort of felt like that sort of a company, but coming from Northern Europe. And in the mid 2010s, the whole brand of the company was repositioned to be much more consumer first, different. We're going to go after the retail banks and not just try to build like a nice, profitable, compounding, pan-European business. And one of the reasons to do that was to expand into the U.S.
Yeah.
And it was around this time that the term BNPL, BNPL wasn't a term until probably 2017. Sebastian had been doing this since 2005, right? It became a big thing, and Afterpay started taking a lot of share, and Affirm obviously was doing tremendously well. And the thing with Klarna's business, obviously, is each country is different, right? Like right now, a huge portion of the Swedish population uses Klarna every month, and for those customers, Klarna has seen them a zillion times by now, right? When they're underwriting a transaction, it's the zillionth transaction for that customer. Going into a new market, right? You're having a lot more first-time customers, so the business model is very different, country by country by country.
It's higher
and
risk.
Just cultural differences between the U.S.
and
consumer
cultural and merchants and exactly frequency.
Yeah, American consumers don't have the same loyalty to Klarna, right? It's not like a national champion.
No one even heard of us. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then Klarna got into the U.S. in the end of probably sometime 2017, 2018, and then really during COVID, when e-commerce obviously was booming. That's when they really got their foot in the door with the big U.S. merchants. Yeah. But amazingly, if you look at the momentum now, in the F1, I hope we get these numbers right. Q1 year-over-year growth in the U.S. was 33%. Q2 was 38%. Right. So the actual forward-looking momentum, or not forward-looking statements, the real-time momentum for Q2 is very, very impressive.
Yeah. How do you think about the long-term structure of the fintech market broadly? It feels like there's a ton of companies that I can think of that are big scale decacorns or almost 100 billion. You're invested in many of them. Founder led, big markets already, but going into super apps and everything apps. But at the same time, throughout history, going back to Goldman and JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, we've always lived in this world of oligopolies. Should we be thinking about long-term fintech? It's like hyperscaler clouds. It'll be competitive, but everyone will still make money.
Yeah.
Or is there a winner-take-all world that in point solutions? How do you think about the market in the long term?
The thing I find most interesting about fintech, especially for a company like Klarna, which has which has footprint across Europe and the U.S. Like fintech penetration in Europe is actually quite high. If you think about Revolut's market share in some of these European countries, or Trade Republic for trading, or Klarna for payments. And they've really started to make a dent on the legacy retail banks. In the U.S., fintech market share is still tiny, right?
And that's where they're eating from.
And I think the U.S. market, which obviously is the biggest profit pool in the world, is that's right. It's still pretty much, it's J.P. Morgan, it's Wells Fargo, it's Citigroup, and then that huge long tail of from the next tier down to the credit unions, and
also with ACH, like Visa and MasterCard, there's also market share to take from that.
And not to mention stablecoins and all stuff going on. There's so much interesting stuff happening in U.S. fintech, and somehow U.S. fintech is like lower penetration than Europe fintech, and I think of a company like Klarna, which is obviously going to be growing here.
How are you thinking about early stage fintech? Because with that frame of mind of like, if I'm going to be a fintech founder, I'm going up against Sebastian from Klarna, Max Levchin's an active founder. You got Brian at Coinbase, Vlad at Robinhood.
Yeah, have you seen the YouTube video?
You got Eric at Ramp. Like, it's just like every category has like a serious person with like $1 billion on the balance sheet, and they're ready to go, and they're bought in, and they're not asleep at the wheel at all. It's not the early days of like enterprise software. It was like, oh yeah, like there's some integrator that did this in the '60s with paper, and like you're just gonna take everything. So how do you think the next wave of fintech at the early stage looks? Is it just
the last like I dabble in fintech. I wouldn't say I'm compared to someone like Ruloff who knows everything about everything. I'm certainly not a specialist. The last fintech investment that I led was in a company called Phantom Wallet, which is it's sort of you need a discontinuous shift in the market. You need something meaningful to be to differentiate yourself along. So for Phantom, it was centralized to decentralized wallets, and
then benefiting from Solana, like picking the right chain to originally partner with.
To get out of the gate. Now it's multi-chain and it's all non-custodial, and it's a different business model, different footprint. That to me is the sort of market change you need to be like to plant your flag and go up and compete against people who have big footprints. Because you're right. These like the founders you just mentioned. The founders you just mentioned are
they're not
incredible.
asleep at the wheel.
Not
they're
even
just
close.
not asleep at the wheel. And so it feels dangerous to go like head to head with any of these guys. But something completely different counterposition like that. You carve out, and then you can weave and build and eat off of someone else's plate entirely.
For sure.
That makes a ton of sense.
What was going on in 2021 and 2022 when Square bought Afterpay for now? If you just look at the transaction value, it's like I think it's like 65-70% of their current market cap paid, or their current market cap. What? Why do you think? Was that just like fintech overheated broadly? Also,
I think there are a few of these stock for stock deals during that era. I think Okta Auth0 is another one, where the actual mark to market value of the transaction was just different than what was reported at the time. I think that Peter Thiel thing about how in 1999 there's a moment of peak clarity at some level where we saw the future perfectly. We just totally overestimated how fast it would come. I think a lot of the e-commerce things in 21 remind me something of that, where we were on a straight shot.
There's so much demand. It was also the COVID boom, e-commerce,
and it was
And I think we just actually got back to the same level of e-com penetration that we had in like 2020, 2021.
We're back to the same original growth trajectory.
Not growth trajectory, but I think overall penetration.
But the way I think about that trend is, in 2021. It was obvious that we were headed towards 50% plus e-commerce penetration across categories, and it's happening so quickly. And then 2022, 2023, the narrative was like e-commerce is dead. It was all pulled forward, And then sure enough, we are in fact headed towards e-commerce penetration. We're eclipsing those levels. And now you look at the Shopify numbers that came out. Their quarter was incredible, right? Like on top line and everything else. So it's e-commerce is still a long-term trend.
And that's even during this rocky year with tariffs and uncertainty on the vendor side or on the merchant side.
Anything else? Here we have some people waiting. So
Yeah, okay.
I don't want
I
to
have
keep
a bunch
people
more
waiting.
questions, but come on the show again.
I'll thank you for being here.
I'm sure we'll be
I
back here.
Love running
I mean,
into you guys at the stock exchange.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's the best place to hang out.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
talk
you
to you
guys.
soon. Have a good one.
The mayor,
Thank you.
The mayor of
Let's
NYSE.
bring in Marcus. Hey, what? Okay.
That's not
give
really.
us some breaking news. 1 second. Yeah, we're okay. Let's bring in Marcus. Yeah. And hey, Marcus, good to meet you in person.
Absolutely. Likewise.
Great to meet you.
Please take a seat. Would you mind introducing yourself for the stream, and then we can talk about everything.
Sure. Hey, I'm Marcus Willig, founder and CEO of Bolt.
And do you remember the first time we interacted online?
I do.
I made a YouTube video essay all about Bolt. I had a friend on my team who was obsessed from Estonia, and I dug in, and it was the most fascinating story. And I remember asking you, like, so did I get the story like roughly correctly? I should have just asked you because I was doing video essays, like blog posts instead of like actual interviews. But here we are interviewing.
Great.
Anyway, tell us your story of how you got involved in Klarna.
Sure. So I started Bolt as an entrepreneur when I was 19 years old, back in 2013.
Yeah.
And back then I was looking at our neighboring country of Sweden,
Yeah.
where Klarna already back then was one of the biggest tech companies.
Sure.
So I was always following it when we were building Bolt from Estonia.
Just as like a role model.
Exactly. So I mean, I saw they were obviously in a very competitive space,
Yep.
very tightly regulated,
Yep.
complex,
Lot
and
of
I saw they
revenue.
were doing well in Europe. And then over time, they started obviously expanding outside as well.
Yep.
So that was a big role model for us. So
Yeah.
that's how I sort of started following the company.
Yeah, and walk me through a little bit of your journey. How long did it take you to expand? Like, take me through the first couple eras and the acts.
Sure. So, I mean, with Bolt, we took, I think, a lot of lessons from what Klarna has done as well. So we first focused on winning in our home market,
Sure.
and obviously our product set is a bit different there, and I think same applies to Klarna, where like
Yep.
the products they offer in Europe are a lot more comprehensive than they
Sure.
already do in US.
Sure.
And then we just first saturated the home markets and then started expanding. And
Yeah.
I think Klarna has done the same strategy really well.
That's fantastic. Is this your first IPO, first public company board?
It is actually. So for the 12 years, I've only been focused on Bolt. I
Yeah.
haven't wanted to take on any distractions. But we've grown to know Sebastian and the Klarna team over the years, and I was always really impressed. So earlier this year, when Sebastian reached out that would I be open to joining, I thought about it for a couple of hours, but it made a lot of sense.
Only
what-
took a couple hours.
What are the benefits of being a founder CEO on a board? I know that there's people that do public company board work and like that's how they pay the bills, but for you it must be more about the connections and the industry insights. Is that something? How do you think about it?
Absolutely. So actually, I mean, Sebastian pitched it really well to me. So
Okay.
I was like, hey, like I think there's three unique angles here. We're one of the largest European technology companies with 110 million customers. So I think you can learn a lot from what we've done. Second, they're one of the few European companies that's really made it big in the US. And obviously for any company in the world, like coming to the largest market and succeeding here is a big lesson to learn from. And third, he was like, we're going to have a blockbuster IPO. So you want to join and
There
see
we
how
go.
that's done.
That's amazing.
And I think all of those three things have proven to be true over the last year.
What is Klarna getting right about running a company it's sort of a two-sided marketplace? They have customers that need to implement Klarna and then customers that use it to check out. And you're in a similar business where you have drivers and riders. What lessons have you learned from their branding, their business, their marketing, anything like that?
I'd actually say that building a payments network and building a ride-sharing network actually have a lot of similarities in terms of how we build a two-sided marketplace.
Sure.
And what we found is that it always starts off on the supply side, because unless you have the right supply available, like there's little value for the consumer. And I think that's actually what Klarna has always got right. They're very customer-obsessed, and they wanted to go and make sure they get the best merchants all around the world to sign up with them, so you can use Klarna as a payment method. And then once you have that supply base and you have a great product offering, then it makes sense to start to focus on the consumer side.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can bring millions of consumers to the platform. If they can't use it to pay anywhere, it's useless.
Yeah, that makes sense. Talk to me about the state of ride sharing and Bolt's business. In San Francisco, everyone's obsessed with Waymo. Elon's talking a big game about robo-taxi rolling out. What do things look like in your business, and where do you see things going?
So first of all, I think it's great. Self-driving cars are completely going to revolutionize cities. I think for Bolt specifically, we're really well positioned, so this kind of 100x the size of the business,
Sure.
and we're really looking forward to the next decade. On the other hand, though, like we gotta be a bit more realistic. And I mean, I'm always the pragmatic guy in the room. So
Yeah.
when I look at the numbers, like we gotta admit, like these things are still a number of years before the commercial unit economics make sense.
Sure.
I think it's one thing to put a couple of thousand cars on the roads, and I think what Waymo's done is absolutely unique and impressive. But they are operating only in the wealthiest cities in the world.
Yeah.
It's still going to take a number of years before the costs come down to a level where you can actually offer this in most cities, not to mention in Europe, but in emerging markets as well.
Yep.
So in that sense, I think Bolt's business is quite well insulated. Like we have 5 to 10 years before this is going to have a major impact in terms of any downside or risk to our business.
Yeah, I think the bull case for at least Uber in the era of self-driving is that Dara Khosrowshahi ran, was it TripAdvisor before?
Expedia.
Expedia, and that is an aggregation platform. They don't own any planes. They don't own any airlines. They route you to the correct airline. Are you thinking about the business similarly? If there's an owner of a self-driving car in 10 years from now, and they want to bring their capex or their asset to the Bolt network, you act as an aggregator for customer demand for them?
So
Is that the correct partnership?
I think the industry is for sure going to evolve over time, and it's still not clear how it's going to end up 10 years from now. But I think in the short term, we're absolutely ready to own the cars on our own balance sheet as well.
Oh, interesting.
So
do you own anything right now, scooters or anything?
we do actually.
You do?
So I think that's a core distinction Bolt has versus any other ride-sharing company in the world.
This is the craziest thing. Like you went into scooters and you didn't get destroyed. Like
But to me, that feels like, again, something we've been asking some of the other guests is like cultural differences between the American consumer and maybe the European consumer in America. I was living in LA during the Bird scooter era, the Lime scooter era, and people used to destroy scooters for sport. It was like it was a
wait till you saw what
pastime.
happened in Paris. So I mean, we were at some point losing 2% of the fleet each week.
What?
What are they doing? Throwing it in a pond or something?
Literally into the river.
Into the river.
Yeah.
Into the Champs-Elysees.
But there are markets that it work where people respect the robots and they take care of them. Right?
Absolutely. And I think overall, though, like when we just like compare the journeys of Bolt and Klarna, I think there's a lot of similarities with how these European companies are built. I mean, generally, we start off not having access to the same amount of capital. So that forces us to be a lot more frugal and more efficient in how we operate.
You don't want to lose 2% of the fleet weekly for that long.
No, exactly. Like we didn't raise hundreds of millions for the scooter business. Like we had to be very clever in how we operated. And so I think overall, I mean, what we've done is that we've operated some of these hardware capex heavy businesses as well, whether it's scooters or we have a car sharing business with thousands of cars. We operate in more than a dozen cities around Europe.
Wow.
So in that sense, like we're not really afraid to similarly operate self-driving cars if need be in the early stages of the market.
Yeah.
Long term, once this gets into hundreds of thousands of cars, obviously the industry is going to pay out differently.
How did the initial Sequoia deal come together for you? Because I don't think they have an office in Estonia, but is it through the Stripe Mafia or the Skype Mafia?
So actually, I mean, Sequoia, back when they invested in us back in 2021, they hadn't made too many European investments.
Yeah.
I think actually Klarna was probably the first one they did a long time ago, and I think that was a successful one. So they started looking around more in Europe.
Okay.
And actually, funny enough, I met with two of the Stripe founders.
Really?
They actually, so they came to Estonia. It was a great fun time catching up with them years ago.
Yeah.
And then actually they went back to Silicon Valley, and then they were chatting with Sequoia about what are some interesting startups they've seen in Europe, and then Bolt came up, and that's where the original interest came from.
What's the state of the Estonian early stage startup scene?
It's fantastic. Honestly, I think the Estonian startup scene per capita is the best in the world. Tallinn's 500,000 people. We got 11 unicorn companies. So for sure there's something in the blood in the Nordics. When we look at Tallinn or we look at Stockholm, they're just absolutely per capita better than almost any city in the world. And when we look at just the number of entrepreneurs coming out of these companies, whether it's Bolt or Klarna as well, it's absolutely fascinating. Like, I mean, this is booming now, the second and third generation of companies.
A couple of the narratives that I've heard thrown around about why Estonia punches way above its weight relative to population size is huge investment in high-speed internet early on, and then also just the geopolitical situation of becoming an independent country and having the entire population animated. Hey, we got to take this stuff seriously, guys. Do those two narratives sit well with you? Does that sound about right?
Those are absolutely true. I mean, again, when we look at, Estonia was under Russian occupation for 50 years, and during the communism era, entrepreneurship was literally banned. So you had all this bottled up energy for decades where people wanted to build businesses and they couldn't. So when in 91 Estonia regained its independence, we had this massive entrepreneurial boom where everybody wanted to build a company. So that's the environment I grew up in. But I'd add actually a third very important factor that I think is same for Sweden and Estonia, is that we have some of the best education in the world.
Yeah.
So when you look at all the PISA rankings, etc., Estonia is always at the top, and so is Sweden. And I think that's the other thing that's fueling all the technology company creation in both countries.
How are you thinking about artificial intelligence, just AI generally, either applying it to your business or this idea of
we've heard from
building a
two.
data
We've
center?
heard from two CEOs, two public company CEOs in the last week, that they are happy to not grow headcount, but they're certainly growing revenue, right? So that's Alex Karp over at Palantir, and then obviously Sebastian here at Klarna. Is that a similar approach that you're taking in terms of finding what that balance is?
Absolutely. So actually, it's very similar, I think, with us and with Klarna over the last couple of years. So Klarna has done it, I think, even better than what we have. They've actually reduced headcount meaningfully over the last couple of years, partially by just improving efficiency through conventional means, partially by AI. And it's been the same with us. Like, we've now been massively growing the business the last 3 years, and the headcount has been completely flat. So the only department that's been growing has effectively been tech, and in every other department, we're just finding more efficiencies.
Yeah. What about a data center, a national champion, an AI national champion in Estonia? Do you think we'll see it? Do you think that is there a potential for, even if it's like latent capacity, if there's just like a cheap data center down the street from the school, and we get another wave of that story of the fast internet, and there's a 13-year-old kid who's like, I'm going to fine tune a Llama 4 or something, and you get the next generation of entrepreneurs. Do you think that's possible?
I wouldn't rule it out, honestly, because when we look at where is the biggest concentration of data centers in Europe, it's usually in the places that have a very good grid connectivity, that have cheap power, stable internet, etc., etc. And actually, Nordics has been one of the most dominant places for it.
Yeah,
so
Nebius is, I guess, main data centers in Finland, right?
Exactly, which is literally between Sweden and Estonia. So, and I mean, you saw the announcement probably today from them. So overall, like, we're not ruling it out that very likely they want to expand in the region, setting up more data centers both in Sweden and Estonia.
Yeah. What about the geographic footprint of Bolt now? I know there were experiments or business expansion into Africa. Like, how are you thinking about conquering the globe, playing the game of risk internationally?
So again, for us, the first priority was we needed to win in the core markets. We needed to have a home base that was generating enough cash flow so we could offset the costs and actually generate some actual capital we could use for expansion. So we did that first in Central Eastern Europe, which we're now by far the number one player in. Then after that, we looked at the emerging markets. So Africa was top of the list, but also some markets like Paraguay, Mexico, Thailand, where we're again now doing extremely well. And then actually we did this a bit unconventional story where then after that we went into more established markets like Western Europe and Nordics. And funny enough, actually that was a very easy expansion then for us, because we started off in these low-cost markets that were hard to compete in. Like
same with Klarna, right?
Exactly. So that was what I was about to get to. That like if you're able to operate with very low ASPs in very difficult markets, then actually later going into high ASP, much more wealthy markets like the US is significantly easier. And I think that's why also Klarna has been taking so much share here and then winning the market.
Yeah, do you think that you'll expand into the US, or has the capital fight already played out? Is there any opportunity left?
Not something
No
I can
comment?
disclose today, but keep watching us, and there's probably going to be some news in the future.
We will definitely be following. Very excited. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining.
So, this was a pleasure.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Great to meet you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Come back on the show anytime.
Absolutely.
I'll zoom you in. Some crazy news hitting the timeline. I don't know if you saw.
I did not.
Charlie Kirk was shot at an event. It's unclear yet if he is alive or dead, but absolutely tragic. Otherwise, Sam Altman was on Tucker.
He went on Tucker Carlson.
Sam Altman was confronted by Tucker about the death of the OpenAI whistleblower, Suchir. Sam Altman says, "I haven't done too many interviews where I've been accused of murder."
I mean, that makes sense, yeah.
Crazy.
It's not. That is a crazy story.
I guess Oracle and OpenAI have signed a $300 billion computing deal. So you basically called this earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Where's that revenue
Backlog
ramp
has to be
going to come?
with OpenAI, and it has to be underwritten on the growth of OpenAI's cloud business.
OpenAI's losses are Larry's.
His revenue, and then but OpenAI, yeah, I mean, they should be losing burning as they grow. But they will still be bringing in a ton of revenue on top of this, both on the business-to-business side, which they're taking more seriously, in the provision of tokens. They're starting to take coding more seriously. This has been kind of the narrative around GPT-5, was that GPT-5 was them, kind of redoubling their efforts in just being token sales for B2B.
Yeah.
And so the thesis that everyone's been kicking around is basically we could see an oligopoly in frontier model inference sort of play out. You have GCP with Gemini rolling out. You have Anthropic obviously teamed up with Amazon, and then you have OpenAI teamed up with Microsoft, but also needing to scale their own business. They've been hitting rate limits. Ben Thompson's been talking for a long time about, why do I have a rate limit on my consumer app? Your consumer app is fantastic. Pull back on the business-to-business side. Well, if Oracle can deliver massive tenths of H100 equivalents, they're good to go. And OpenAI has been co-developing chips with NVIDIA, put those, but you need someone that's like a hyperscaler, like Oracle, to actually go and implement that.
Yeah.
Anyway, our next guest will be here in a few minutes. Do you have any other
prayers?
This is some shocking news
for Charlie Kirk, regardless of your political beliefs.
Yeah.
It's absolutely tragic. I feel like X needs to figure out some type of give people content warnings. There's been a lot of videos floating around, but absolutely tragic.
Yeah. Insane. Anything else? We have Lynn Martin from the New York Stock Exchange joining in just 4 minutes. We will bring her onto the stream.
Let's see what the chat has to say. We miss you guys.
Yes, we've been on the road for 2 days. We will be back in the TBPN Ultradome tomorrow. A little bit more travel coming up, but hopefully the Great Lock-In begins in full the following week. And the chat is also talking about this news. Very, very sad, very rough.
Everyone's saying don't open X. So if you're watching this on X, I guess
go
stay
over to YouTube. I guess
over to YouTube or log off.
Whoa, rough. Well, we have 2 or 3 minutes until our next guest is joining. We are going to be hanging out here. We are, again, if you're just tuning in, live from the New York Stock Exchange in New York City, Manhattan. If you couldn't tell, if you've been, maybe you're listening to the audio,
Yeah.
And we are at the Klarna IPO. We've interviewed the CEO and other folks, board members today. Marcus Willig. Marcus Willig is such a wild entrepreneur. The clickbait title that I used, or my team used, on his video essay was Europe's Youngest Billionaire, and it ripped. It has 1 million views on YouTube.
Wow.
Ripper. Absolute ripper.
Seems like a Chad.
Yeah, he's a killer entrepreneur. Started the business very young, in a very contrarian market. There's this massive capital war going on over in America, Lyft and Uber, of course.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to be over in Europe building. Anyway, anything else you want to talk about?
Really, nothing like a shooting to kill the vibe.
Incredibly vibe killing. I agree.
Still unclear what is happening.
I'm sure the story will develop over the next 24 hours. Hopefully there will be some good reporting from the folks who
cover this sort of
this
thing.
type of stuff. It is a thankless job.
Not our wheelhouse.
Not our wheelhouse at all.
Anyways.
We're hanging out.
Yeah, it's tough. We like to have fun on this show, but it doesn't feel right when a tragedy like this strikes.
It is rough.
Yeah, I feel bad for people that people are sharing around a close-up video of the shooting, which is like
rough.
Seems like I'm sure Nikita can figure out a solution so that people.
X does have the ability to add a sensitive content warning.
Yeah, but
before
who's
an image, but I don't
who's
know.
adding that?
Also, I'm not exact. I've seen people use it as like
A meme.
As a meme, so it must be a button that you can click. But I have yet to actually see that used. And if it kills your reach in the algorithm, people won't do it because they want to grow their accounts no matter what. Very, very rough. Tough day in the news business. Well, on some other good news, in 10 days, Jason Carman will premiere his first sci-fi film, Planet. Come see it. He's playing it at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, and you can go and get tickets. So if you're in San Francisco and you want to see Jason Carman's latest work.
This morning, Buco Capital bloke said, my timeline is literally just Oracle earnings and a woman being murdered. Obviously, the
Yes. The stab
other
on the
other murder. Really, really tragic.
Well, we condemn all violence of all forms, of course.
Yeah, and it's just violence generates more violence.
It's very bad.
Unfortunately.
Very rough. Well, we will be closing out in just a minute. In the meantime, there is a
What
lot
else?
of news. We've unfortunately been missing a few big fundraising announcements, but we will be catching up with tons of founders tomorrow. Be sure to tune in, and we'll also be taking you through hopefully a bigger deep dive. I would love to go deeper on the iPhone. I don't know if you saw that X-ray photo of the iPhone Air, but folks were speculating that this
Lynn
looks
Martin
like the future.
coming over.
Fantastic. She
There
has
she
her
is.
hat
She's got
on.
her hat on.
She has her hat on already. Welcome to the stream.
I gotta put it on quickly.
Here you go. Good to see you again.
Hey,
Good to see you. How
good
you
to see
doing?
you guys.
Thank you so
What's
much for
up?
hosting us once again.
Got the hat.
You got the hat. Thank you for wearing it.
Walk us through the day.
Yeah. How did today go?
Great. Today went great.
Just since we saw you, how busy have you been? I feel like we when we left, we were like, we'll be back for the next one, and then I think the next one happened like literally the next day. So there's been a number of
Yeah,
IPOs,
it did.
right?
There's been a number.
Walk us through the last couple weeks. Like, what's been big?
There's been a bunch. There's been Bullish. There's been
that was big.
Mayax. There's been quite a few that have been coming out. I mean, I know we talked about. We're obviously here for Figma Day.
Yep. It's fantastic.
We have Klarna today.
Yep.
We got Via on Friday.
On Friday.
We're excited about that one.
Very cool.
Next week,
That's
it's
great.
going to be busy too. So we
Fantastic.
got the market is
The
open.
market
And
is
you know
open.
what? I really feel like the market's open because the traditional media just said, yeah, the IPO window's open. It's been open. It's like,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
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 it
yes.
is.
They
It
admit it.
is.
Yeah.
It certainly felt like that. The today feels even Sebastian himself was like remarkably like calm and collected. And when you look at like the process this morning, I'm sure I don't know what was happening behind the scenes, but it felt like this is just another day at the office for you guys. In terms of-
Everything went very smoothly.
It went very smoothly, and this IPO had a different pop, but it stayed there,
Still
which is
healthy.
good.
Yeah.
It's still healthy. It was like a textbook IPO. Traditionally,
Yeah, I
you want
know.
to see
Exactly
like that
what-
20% pop, and that's kind of where they are. I think they're about 25%,
Let's
maybe
give it up for the investment bankers
30%.
that priced
So
it appropriately.
it was great. It was
Great.
great. It was great, but I mean, this deal has been thinking about going public for a couple of years now. It's been rumored for a couple of years. Been working with them for a couple of years on IPO readiness. So
everybody had to be patient.
everyone had to be patient. But now that this one went well, I think the next few are going to go, touch wood, okay as well.
Give us your thoughts on the market overall right now. Obviously, yesterday was crazy. Oracle earnings.
I was going to say, this is kind of a huge day here as well. I mean, we're so proud to be partnered with Oracle, and Oracle will be one of our listed companies. Last I checked, it was up 35%.
Which
I think
is
it's more than
not
that
normal
now.
for a company that
It
size.
is, because they just announced
They
the
just announced a deal
partnership
with
with
OpenAI.
OpenAI.
Yep.
It's like
Everyone
good
was
news
wondering,
plus
okay, where
good
that's your-
news plus good news.
Yeah.
That's a
for
lot
the
of
company.
RPO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Massive backlog.
Yeah, I mean, thrilled for them.
Yeah.
And I'm thrilled to see the market rewarding them
Yeah.
too, because that's been a deliberate strategy that they've employed.
Yeah.
They've stayed focused on rolling out that strategy, and now they're seeing success from it, which is great.
It's good to see Larry finally get a win. He's been a bit of an overnight
Overnight
success.
success.
He's been working at
Decades.
Oracle.
Decades in the making.
Grinding away for
what's
decades.
give us the update on Texas.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So we announced NYSE Texas February 11th, 12th, 10th, something like that. Opened on March 31st and now have just over 50 listed companies and 13 listed ETFs.
Okay.
So incredibly excited. We just
Yeah.
had a big launch party
Yeah.
at the Star at
Fantastic.
Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Love it.
Although I'm a Giants fan. Although Sunday was rough for the
Yeah,
New
yeah.
York Giants. I don't know if you watched it.
What goes
but-
into the decision to go to Texas instead of New York for a company?
Yeah, so the reason we launched NYSE Texas was because of the amazing pro-business legislation
Sure.
that Governor Abbott's been pushing forward, really filling a gap around company governance and a variety of other measures.
Yeah.
It's been met with tremendous positive reception. You see companies moving their headquarters,
Yep.
changing where they're incorporated
Yeah.
from state that y'all are based in,
Yeah.
in California in particular, to Texas, but
Yeah.
also some of the New York companies have built huge presences.
Yeah, Joe Lonsdale
there.
at 8VC's talked about it a
Absolutely.
lot. Elon Musk's talked about it a lot.
Absolutely. You
Starbase
look
is a
at-
company town now. It's become a whole
I know.
economy unto its own. We
I
had a
know.
friend who went and toured it, and they have their own shops and their own housing. And
Yeah.
everything. It's become this massive movement over there.
Yeah, and Illinois as well.
Yeah.
As a lot of companies have moved out of Illinois
Yeah.
to Texas.
To Texas.
So we were just being responsive
So
to
does
our
listing
customers.
in Texas, does that just align you with being registered as a business in Texas?
It allows you
Okay.
to benefit from some of the pro-business
Yeah.
legislation.
And is it a prerequisite to be headquartered in Texas?
You don't have to be
list? You don't
headquartered.
have
It's
to.
an or.
Okay, it's an or.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
but it's a way
actually,
to
our
align the whole
first-
stack. if
Our
you need to.
first company
Yeah.
to dual list on us was Trump Media and Technology,
Okay.
which is based in Florida.
Sure. Yeah.
So
makes
they're not
sense.
even based
Yeah,
in Texas, but they were
But they wanted to be
such proponents of
Sure,
the
sure,
pro-business mentality, the pro-business legislation that was going through.
Yep. That makes sense.
Taking a step back, what is the right profile of a business for in the current IPO market? I think that there's so much capital available in the private markets. We haven't seen as many. I would have thought we'd maybe see some AI companies getting out with 50, sub 9 figures of revenue. We haven't seen that, at least from our view, a ton so far. So what is the right what is the investment banking community see as the right profile for a company today?
I mean, there's always the question around the rule of 40.
Yeah.
I think the companies that are being rewarded are the ones with a very deliberate strategy that they've had a track record of success
Yeah.
with. Not a strategy that is throwing a bunch of spaghetti against a wall and seeing which of these products winds up sticking, staying very focused on
Yeah.
the strategy and telling the story of, okay, here's the core products, and then here are the additional products that we're layering onto those products.
Yeah.
There was a question for a while of whether a company needed to be profitable or not to go public. I don't think you do. I think you need to have a path to profitability that you can articulate
Yep.
to an investor, but you don't have to be 30% EBITDA margins, things of that nature to,
Yeah.
to go public.
Is it fair
Yeah.
to tell
Do you
us-
think it's helpful? I mean, how helpful is it that a firm reported earnings a couple weeks ago, did very well? I think people woke up to that felt like kind of a turning point in the way that people were kind of viewing BNPL as a category. Does that help at all with the Klarna's roadshow and give people more confidence in the category?
I think the probably one of the success points for Klarna's roadshow was the expansion that they've been able to do, not just in Europe, but also outside of Europe into the U.S. market. I'm sure that was something that resonated with investors. Macroeconomic environments also tend to factor into a lot of these roadshows as well.
What do you think changed that sentiment about profitability to go public? Is it okay to chop that up to what Jeff Bezos did for so long with Amazon, just like not really delivering profits to shareholders, reinvesting them again and again and again? Is that, do you think, the story that people should be telling, or are there other companies that have done it really well?
Yeah, I think when you're with an investor, they're asking you what you're going to do with your capital. Are you going to use it to pay down debt?
Yep.
Are you going to return it to shareholders, or are you going to reinvest in the business? I think any of those answers are good, particularly with companies during an IPO process. Investors do want to, many investors, not all, but many investors want a medium to long-term growth story, and that's going to involve reinvestment in the business. But there's needs to be a clearly articulated story about where you're investing and why you're investing and how it's going to make your business stronger or provide a really unique entry point into another tangential area to your business.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the stream. It's
Thanks for
always great
having me.
you.
I'm going to put my hat back on.
Fantastic.
There you go. Thank you for representing.
Yeah, and thanks for
always
hosting
great to
us.
be here.
Great to be here with you
Hopefully,
guys.
hopefully we'll be back soon.
Hope to have you
Can't
back
wait.
soon.
Let's
Absolutely.
keep
Means
this
the
window wide
market's
open.
opening up.
It's open.
Exactly.
It's
All
open.
right.
We'll come find you after
All
this.
right,
Thank you so
cool.
much. We'll
See
talk to you
ya.
soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
And on that note, I
yes.
think we can
Let's
we
wrap
can
it up.
wrap it up.
Thank you so much for tuning in to our live stream from the New York Stock Exchange. We will be live from the TBPN Ultradome in Hollywood,
Tomorrow.
California tomorrow. So
And,
tune in, and we
again,
will bring you a lot of
Thoughts
news
and
interviews.
prayers to Charlie Kirk and his family and
Yes.
loved ones. Absolutely tragic.